Captain America is by far one of Marvel's most iconic superheroes, so much so that the character has appeared in a slew of storylines outside of the Earth 616 timeline, popping up with curious and crazy iterations in other realities within the comic giant's massive universe. And some are wickedly powerful and strong compared to others. So today we're taking a look at some of these Steves, particularly the strongest of the strong, with our list of the top 10 strongest alternate versions of Captain America. In at number 10, Cap Wolf. Back in 1992 in Captain America issue 402, Cap became a werewolf. Yep. So for context, at this point in time, John Jameson, the son of J.J. Jameson, who also happened to be Cap's personal pilot, was a werewolf. And after a body shows up in the woods and John goes missing, Cap goes on a hunt for him. Long story short, he stumbles into a town rotten with werewolves and ends up getting injected by a serum that turns him into one. Because he already has the super soldier serum in him, Cap is able to keep his mind intact while in werewolf form, and learns from mutant Wolfsbane how to communicate. He's held captive, but eventually comes up with a plan to escape. And since, Cap Wolf has reoccurred a few times in the comics. It's worth noting that this is the only alternate version of the hero that appears in the 616 continuity on our list. Moving on to one that doesn't though, in at number 9, President Rogers from the Ultimate Universe. In the Ultimate Universe, Earth 1610, Steve Rogers' origins are quite similar to his 616 counterpart, except his abilities, thanks to the serum, have been bumped up to superhuman, particularly his strength. The hero can bend steel with his bare hands, he can jump extremely long distances, and can even catch trees heavy enough to smash a jeep. He can heal from gunshots and knife wounds within a matter of hours and heal broken bones within a day. When he's thawed out in present day, he ends up joining the Ultimates, this universe's version of the Avengers, and eventually in Ultimate Comics Ultimates, he ends up becoming president after Barack Obama is killed. And at number 8, The Chosen. Strength isn't just superficial muscle, friends. This version of Steve Rogers is living proof of that. Or technically, unliving now. Captain America: The Chosen was a story that came out in 2007 and explored a storyline inspired by the tragedy of 9/11. A soldier who's sent to Afghanistan, US Marine Corps Private James Newman, begins his first tour of duty, and Steve Rogers' spirit joins him on the battlefield as a guardian angel of sorts. This is all while the real Steve Rogers, now old and bedridden, slowly dies in a hospital. By the end of it, old Steve passes away, but his spirit ends up living on, personifying the American spirit, with the US government having come up with the device that allows him to project his spirit all over the planet. It's definitely a different kind of power for the hero, but one that suits his patriotic identity well, and makes him a powerful symbol to many real-life heroes in need. And at 7, Vampire Cap. In the Exiles universe, Earth 3931, Captain America gets turned into a vampire after he's infected by Baron Blood, all during World War II. Because of this, he ends up turning all of his other Avengers teammates into vampires as well. The Exiles appear with the intention of fixing this reality, but eventually Rogers and his team of vampires end up being defeated, with Rogers personally being decapitated by one of Wolverine's claws. But having no head did not stop Steve. He ended up reattaching his head to his body. The super soldier serum, combined with his vampirism, amplified his strength, stamina, reflexes, and agility, and even allowed him to teleport. In addition to that, he's got an incredibly strong healing factor. Clearly, he'd need one in order to survive getting his head cut off. And at number 6, Carol Danvers from Earth 2301. Earth 2301 is the Mangaverse, and in it, there is a Steve Rogers, but he too assumes the role of the US president. Carol Danvers also takes up the mantle though. Unlike her 616 counterpart, she seemingly does not have her human Kree physiology, but still possesses super strength and near invulnerability, having survived a plane crash, taken a sword blow to the back, and had electricity pumped through her body, all of which gave her no long-term injuries. Having been a part of the US Air Force that was stationed in Japan, Carol finds herself gaining her superpowers after her base was destroyed and she was attacked. Now these potentially dormant powers were activated and she ends up taking on the Hand, and even rescues Spider-Man in the process right before he's supposed to be executed. And at number 5, Zombie Colonel America. Zombie Colonel America has all of the abilities as the 616 Captain America. Plus, he's a zombie. While there wasn't much context given on what Steve's life was like prior to the zombie plague, one thing is different about his backstory. He too served as the President of the United States. Definitely picking up on a theme here, you guys. He and other members of the Avengers become infected when trying to fight off zombified Sentry. But good old Cap, after his zombie appetite is satiated for a little bit, he and other Avengers still attempt to brainstorm how to stop the plague, which doesn't really work out because he and other members end up going on a killing spree when it's discovered that Latveria contains a ton of grub for him and his zombie pals to mow down on. In at 4, Captain America, Earth 1298. From the Mutant X universe, this version of Cap isn't Steve Rogers. Rather, he's an unnamed mutant who ends up taking up the mantle of the hero. Now the original Captain America was killed in a Sentinel attack at the Avengers Mansion. This unnamed version is given the super soldier serum, which, while it makes him insanely strong and amplifies his mutant powers so that he can increase his mass, strength, his capable of telepathy, creating force fields, and is near invulnerable, it also makes him insane, and his mutant powers flare uncontrollably. Moving on to number 3, Danielle Cage. Captain America has always had a great respect for Luke Cage. So it's kinda neat that in this alternate universe, Luke's daughter, Danielle Cage, would take up the Captain America mantle. From Earth 15061, Danielle has not only inherited the powers of her parents Luke and Jessica Jones, but she's also become a member of the Avengers. So with the strength and invulnerability of her father, combined with the superhuman strength, durability, and flight of her mother, needless to say, Danielle is a version of Cap that any villain would find difficult to take on. Up next, number 2, Super Soldier. From the Amalgam Comics. Superman is arguably the most powerful metahuman in the DC universe. Arguably. So, combine all of the Man of Steel's abilities with Steve Rogers' mind, and damn, that's one hell of a deadly superhero. Meet Clark Kent, the Super Soldier, from the Amalgam Comics, a series in which DC and Marvel Comics amalgamated their heroes. Clark Kent is given a Super Soldier serum that was created from DNA that was harvested from the corpse of baby Kal-El. Little dark, eh? The serum gives Clark all of his Superman powers. He's later frozen in ice at the end of World War II, revived decades later, and then returns to the mantle. And finally, in at number 1, Soldier Supreme. What's stronger than a Captain America crossover with Superman? Well, how about one who crosses over with the Sorcerer Supreme? Superman ain't got nothing on magic. Enter Soldier Supreme, one of the most recent alternate universe Steve Rogers creations. This one, who appeared in the Infinity Wars story event, was the product of Gamora using the Infinity Stones to fold the universe in half, amalgamating many characters into one persona and putting them into the warp world inside of the Soul Gem. Such was the case with Steve Rogers and Stephen Strange. They became Steven Rogers, a man in World War II who volunteered for an experimental procedure from the US Army, in which he was injected with a super soldier serum that turns out was actually a cover for mystic rituals. Steven gets all of the strength he got from the serum in the 616 universe, but also gains the ability to wield powerful magic. Unlike the 616 Cap, instead of being frozen in ice for years, he gets trapped in the Dark Dimension, while combating Red Skull's amalgam, Dormammu Red, but eventually gets out when a cult on Earth opens up the dimension in a failed attempt to summon Satan. Alright, there we have it, friends. Which of these were your favorite alternates? We're sure there's a ton of many other wickedly powerful alternate versions of Captain America, so give us a shout in those comments below if you'd like to see us do a part 2 of this list. In the meantime though, if you dug this video, why not spread the love, hit that like button, and be sure to subscribe to Top 10 Nerd for more Captain America and Marvel videos. Thanks for watching everybody, I'll catch you all in the next one.